David and Lizzie. So it is a pleasure to be here and to be able to share my research broadly to all of the audience. So now I would like to present my research entitled Young Adults and Positive Career Goal Discrepancies. As Lizzie mentioned before, this is part of my PhD project under supervision of Associate Professor Michelle Hood, Professor Peter Creed, and Dr. Amanda Duffy from a School of Applied Psychology, Griffith University. And this is the outline for my presentation today. So first, I will be presenting the brief definition of the positive career goal discrepancy. So it's tell us about what is the research about, followed by the rationale of this research, the research findings, and also the practical implications of this study. Okay, now I will explain further about the positive career goal discrepancy construct, as this is the main topic of my research. So the idea about the positive career goal discrepancy, basically it's informed by the self-regulatory theories, namely the goal setting theory, the control theory, and also the social cognitive theory. So all of the self-regulatory theories agree that the goals have a dynamic structure where individuals are continuously setting their goals, developing plans to achieve that goal, engaging to goal-striving behavior, and then evaluating their progress and making some adjustment when needed. When goals are evaluated, there will be gaps or differences between the person set goal and the performance. And this gap is labeled as goal performance discrepancy. Or in other words, we can define that the goal discrepancy as the distance or gap between the self-appraised performance and the set standard or goal. So this is the general definition of goal discrepancy informed by the self-regulatory theories. They believe, the self-regulatory theories also believe that the goal discrepancy could be either positive or negative. The negative discrepancy if the performance, if individual perceive that their current performance falls short of the goals, or when they perceive that their current progress are not good enough. And we also have the positive discrepancy. The positive discrepancy if the performance exceeds the goal, or when individuals perceive that their current progress are better than expected. So even though all of the self-regulatory theories agree with those two distinct discrepancies, the positive and negative, however, most of research to date only focus on the negative discrepancies, maybe because the negative discrepancy have a more significant effect to human motivation or to human development, and then least research focus on the positive discrepancies. However, prior research, or some researchers in general and also in the career context, they suggested to expand the research and to have a look how individual responds to the positive discrepancies. So informed by the general definitions of goal performance discrepancies, in 2015, Creed and Hood defined a construct, a specific construct in career they call as the career goal discrepancies. This is defined as the perceived deviations between an individual's current career goal development or situation and their predetermined career goals, such as future self or situational standards. So basically, Creed and Hood also acknowledged both positive and negative career goal discrepancies. However, in their original scale to measure the career goal discrepancy, they only focus on the negative discrepancies only. And they suggested to expand the research in this area to have a look what is the positive career goal discrepancy. So therefore, to expand the research in this career context, we specifically define the construct positive career goal discrepancy as the individual's appraisals that their current performance or progress exceed that required to meet the career goals. Or in other words, we can say that if individuals perceive that their current career progress are better than they expected. So career goal discrepancies consist of 3 domains. So we would like to compare these 3 domains when we are evaluating our performance. So they are the achievement ability discrepancy, goal standard discrepancy, and effort discrepancy. So the achievement ability discrepancy is when individuals perceive that their current achievements, skills, and abilities are more than required to achieve the career goals. Here I give the example of item to how to measure this domain. So for example, is my achievements exceed those needed for my future career. So they focus on the achievement only, and then they compare that with the future career, which is the internal comparator in this research. And we also have the gold standard discrepancy. The gold standard discrepancy is when individuals perceive that their current standard is likely to be surpassed and a higher career goal potentially could be set. Example of item here is I have set my sight on a career that goes beyond my parents' expectations. So here they perceive that their current goal is it's too easy for them, so they can achieve the higher one. And the last one is the effort discrepancy. That is when individuals perceive that their current effort expended to date is more than required to achieve the career goals. In general, when we evaluate our performance or our career progress or these three domains, we will try to compare that with two comparators, either the internal and also the external comparators. The internal comparators such as past performance and personal future goals, while the external comparators is the expectations from peers and the significant others. For example, here in the gold standard discrepancy, they try to compare that with the parents' expectations. So in general, we try to measure these three domains and then compare that with internal and external comparator. An individual will have the higher score or the higher positive discrepancy if they perceive that those three domains are better than their internal and also better than the external comparators. So that is the brief introduction or the brief introduction about the positive career goal discrepancy constructs. Now I will explain further about the rationale of this research and why is this research relevant. So as I mentioned before, like not much research interested in the positive discrepancy because they think that's not will not have a big problem for young adults, and then therefore more research investigated the negative one. However, we know that the positive and negative goal discrepancies are not polar opposites. It means that if you have a higher score in negative discrepancy, it doesn't mean that you have a lower score in the positive discrepancies. So they basically have a distinct construct. So they are the separate construct, the positive and negative, not in the polar opposites. So this idea is supported by some prior studies. So in general, self-regulatory theories also agree that the positive and negative discrepancy can trigger different affective, cognitive, and behavioral responses in human motivations. So the positive discrepancies would lead to a more positive effect and also positive cognitive response, while the negative discrepancy will trigger the negative affective and cognitive response. Other research in general also argue that they have a different theories that provide a better explanation for these different responses of goal discrepancies. So according to Ellis and Judge in 2005, they tried to compare the positive and negative discrepancies, and then they found that goal setting and social cognitive theory, which is more emphasized in the goal discrepancy production, the importance of goal discrepancy production in human motivation, those two theories are more relevant to explain the positive discrepancies compared to the control theory, which is emphasize the importance of the equilibrium in human motivation. So it means that according to the control theory, individuals like to reduce their effort if they have a positive discrepancy, while according to the goal setting and control theory, individual will keep engaged in goal striving behavior, even though they perceive that they are good enough in this. So that's motivate them to put more effort. While according to the control theory, if you're good enough in that, so you can leave that goal and then do another one. So therefore, they assume that the positive and negative discrepancy are different. So we cannot use the result from the negative discrepancy to interpret the result to understand the positive discrepancy construct. Also, Ellis and Judge found that different boundary conditions have been proposed as affecting positive and negative discrepancies and also the outcomes relationship. So here we found that in the relationship of the positive and discrepancy and outcomes, goal difficulty play a significant role, while in the negative and discrepancy and outcomes relationship, so the self-efficacy play a significant role. So in conclusion, using a negative discrepancy research to understand the positive career goal discrepancy is likely to lead to misinterpretation. So therefore, we need another research that focus on the positive discrepancies. And as I mentioned before, here what we found that based on the literature review, no research that has focused on the positive discrepancy, particularly in the career context. However, we found that some research investigated the negative discrepancies. They are also in the laboratory setting and also in the experiment in the survey methods. However, no research that investigated the positive discrepancy. So therefore, also prior study have recommended to expanding research in this area to investigating the antecedents and outcomes, and also how to assessing the dynamic responses to the positive career goal discrepancy. Therefore, to address this gap in the career goal literature, we try to investigate how young adults regulate themselves when they respond to the positive career goal discrepancies. And this is our research aim and hypothesis. So in this study, we tested the relationship between the positive career goal discrepancies and the outcomes of upward goal revision, career exploration, and career costing. So the upward goal revision is reflects a response to the goals that are not sufficiently challenging, and the individuals as having or developing a higher aspiration. So we hypothesize, or we assume that higher positive discrepancy will lead to more upward goal revision. And another outcomes is the career explorations, which involves gathering relevant information related to the self and also about the world of work. Here we have general and also specific career exploration. And it was assumed that higher positive discrepancy also leads to higher, the more engaged in career exploration activity. And the last outcomes that we want to have a look in this research is the career costing. So career costing is quite new construct in the career. Prior studies only focus on the costing construct in the experimental research. The career costing is defined as reducing effort allocated to the current career goal for which progress exceed the requirements, and shifting their effort to focus on the salient goals. So in other way, when individual have a progress better than expected, so when they come to the peak, they will they will be likely to course, so not doing nothing and then not put their effort to that activity. So we also want to have a look whether the positive career goal discrepancy related to the career costing. Also informed by the social cognitive career theory, we found that the self-efficacy and also outcome expectations play a significant role according to those theories. So we also want to test the applicability of social cognitive career theory in this research. So we try to have a look the indirect relationship between the positive discrepancy and outcomes via self-efficacy and outcome expectations. And this is what we found. So to test that hypothesis, we conducted a quantitative study. So we collected data using a survey methods, and we will use 2 times here, time 1 and time 2, because we want to have a look the dynamic changes and also the response from time 1 to time 2 outcomes. So after 6 months later, so we invited participants at time 1 to participate in time 2 after the 6 months. And in this research, we have the response rates about 45.9%. So less than 50% of participants at time 1 also responds to time 2 questionnaire. And using a sample of 314 participants, which is most of them are female, so 76% are female, with the mean age 19.13. This is the young age of people. We found this research, these results. That is the positive career goal discrepancy related to or predicted higher upward goal revision, more career exploration, both in depth and in breadth career exploration. So the more specific and general career exploration. And then also there is less likely to curse. So it's mean that even though they get what they perceive that their current career progress better than expected, young people still put more effort. So they not coast, they put more effort to achieving their career goals. Also here we found that, as I mentioned before, we tried to test the role of self-efficacy and outcome expectations in this relationship. How unexpectedly we failed to find the support for the career-related efficacy. Here we see that the career-related efficacy not related to any of the outcomes. So that this is not significantly explain the relationship. However, we found that the positive career efficacy related to outcome expectations and also higher outcome expectations related to more upward goal revision, more engaged in career exploration, and also less to course. So in other words, we can say that the only outcome expectations could explain those relationship or the mediate the relationship. So looking back to our hypothesis, this is our conclusion for this research. So we know that the efficacy not significantly related to all of the outcomes, but we found that the higher positive career discrepancy lead to more upward goal revision, lead to more career exploration and less career costing. And this also explained by the outcome expectations. This research emphasized the importance of outcome expectations in the self-regulations, which is if we want to like try to create a program to how to increase these outcomes, like the more engaged in career exploration or higher goal revision, career goal revision, and then more engaged in career-related activities. The practitioners could also try to provide, try to create the intervention to increase the outcome expectations. And for the practical implications, so based on that result, we can use this research also in the practical implication. So we found that this research contributes to understanding how young people regulate themselves and perceiving that they are progressing positively or they progress better than expected. So now we also know that nowadays career counselor or the practitioners not only focus on helping people with the problem with their career, but also they include the positive aspect of human. So therefore, in some career counselor, they're also interested to provide to create a program like intervention to, or we can say to prevent all the negative discrepancy or to promote the individual positive progress. So that's why this research also can contribute to these practical implications. So this study can help us to more understand about that positive discrepancies. So here from the research, we found that when young people perceive that they are ahead or have a positive discrepancies, they were likely to set a higher career goal, put more effort to reach their goal, and also participated in more career explorations to strengthen their aspirations. So such outcomes are critical for maximizing young people's potential. So therefore, for the practical implication or the career counselor, rather than assuming that these young people do not need assistance because everything is positive, A career counselor should also facilitate there to continue exploration and advice on various more challenging and appropriate career options. So this will help the young adults to set more appropriate higher career goals and also assist them to prioritize their efforts. Therefore, they can maximize their career potential. As we know that the importance of outcome expectations in this research, the career counselors also can play an essential role by assisting these young people to effectively manage their career goal expectations so that they remain engaged rather than losing motivation or redirecting efforts elsewhere. So we know that it is important to the career counselor to help young people to manage their expectations. Therefore, they keep developing their future career. So the career practitioner can help the young people to exploring career directions or expressing the confidence in young adults' ability, and also helping them to progress their goals to foster their outcome expectations. So basically that's all my presentation for today, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
So I will head back to Lizzie.
Thank you so much. It's been so fruitful, and really, I think my own practice, not let alone my own research, I think has been really added to by that. And I'm hoping that there'll be questions in a minute coming into the chat. But just for the moment, can I ask a question of your study?
Yep.
And so, Sari, what do you think in terms of the outcome expectations? I see that you say to continue talking about exploration. Did you find any kind of insights into how that should be framed by the career counsellor, saying that's great that you're doing well and things like this? And then did you have any kind of insights into how you should frame and keep going if we're trying to think that it's not really about self-efficacy in terms of thing? It's not about how well you're looking for jobs, but it's sort of about how you frame it. Is it about saying, we know you're doing well now, what if other things change and you did better than you expected? How do you think you could enter that conversation?
So basically, like we know that previously we assume that if you are good enough, then you will confidence with your ability. And then that's why, and in this research, we know that even you have a good, if you confidence with your capability, it will not affect your future. But we know that here the career counselor can help them to, you know that you're already progressing better than expected, but now we talk about your future expectations. So maybe we can discuss about, here we still not sure enough, like whether they are continuously, like whether you have to explore further or whether you need to set a higher career goal. So that's why in this research we suggest the career counselor, if you know that these young people already get the positive discrepancy, try to discuss to them, like what do you want to do next, whether you want to like more specific in this career, or whether you want to like more want to find something else. So the career counselor should try to advise them better in this context, because if we not help them, so we just maybe they will just stop in this progress, so they're not progressing better in the future. So try to discuss with them, what do you want in the future, what your expectations, whether you want to up high your goal, or whether you want to more specific in this careers. For example, if you're generalist, you want to be the more specialist, so you can discuss about that in the future. So what steps they can do next.
Keep them moving. That's really helpful. Alexandra Bose has also got a temporal question in my view. She asks, we have a lot of students receiving early offers for university. Would that count as a positive thing and should motivate them to aim higher and get better grades? She often hears at school that's the opposite, and the students lose interest if they've received an early offer as they already have their offers. What do you think?
So that's the things that maybe it's related to what affect them after this. So if you, again, if you better than expected, and then you quite really confident with yourself, so that's why you will lose your motivation. So it's
Right.
mean, oh, I'm good enough, so I don't need to do anything.
Mhm.
But what we found here, so that's why the importance of the expectation. So maybe the teacher at schools, if they found that the students progressing better, so like they have a higher score, or they like good enough in that career, now they try to, okay, now you're good enough and this, so what you can do next. So think further about that, keep
Yeah.
moving, because we know that if you only like say that you're better and this, and then that's it, so that you will lose your motivation. But
Mhm.
if you say that, okay, you're better enough in this, and then what's next, so ask them to keep moving, and then think about further what do you want to in the future, that will help you to maintain their motivation. So that's why what one of the implication of this research.
That's great help, and a great question, Alexandra. It really helped me understand and think in practice about how this works. Is a and she says great advice. Thanks. What do you think, Sari? How are you disseminating once the doctorate's all through and things like this? What are your plans to disseminate and get this information out to career counsellors in Australia and perhaps also Indonesia? Do you have any plans for dissemination?
Yeah, so basically I have three studies, and then
Ah,
about this. So most of them only like we published in the journal article. So that's why it's really I'm really happy that you invite me in this. So because again, so when also when I do the when I submit this research to the journal article, most of them asking me about the question. So what is the importance of this research? So what do you think the practitioner will interested in your research, because you do the positive things? So that's why in the future I will keep doing this, and then try to disseminate in Australia and also in Indonesia about how the importance of, like, even though you get progressing better than expected, it's just really important to the practitioner and the counselor to keep their eyes to that particular group, so that's therefore they can like progressing better, instead of like yeah, they lose their motivation on that. So in the
so
future maybe I will try to create the program, or maybe try to yeah, do the maybe try to, yeah, create a program or design an intervention on how to help young people with this. So again, I really need the advice from the practitioners, because what I have is only the theoretical things, not really sure but how to run this in the practical world.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, there's been great interest, and I think David will tell us, and he might come on now in a minute to say that this was the most subscribed session. And we know that not everyone on a Friday can come, but we know that they all want to listen to the recording. So we hope this is the start of a dialogue. And obviously, we know and respect Professor Creed and your work a great deal, and we'd like to continue discussing this. And it actually is a lovely place to finish these research snapshots this week, because this is what we really want, is to help practitioners engage with research and researchers engage with practitioners, because I think it can enliven both our parts, and that's sort of speaking from both parts, and we've just really enjoyed hearing from you, and I know everyone's sort of posting in the chat to say that as well, and really enjoyed the whole week. So thank you, Sarah. We hope to keep in touch as the Career Industry Council, and I'm just going to find David and see if I just my personal thanks over to him. And we haven't got time to ask, but we've got several people who've come to all the sessions, and we hope they'll give us feedback and tell us what their best thing is. But we have had a great week, and thanks to you, Sari, and thanks to all our presenters. Over to